Hello, konnichiwa, marhaba, Speedo here. The whole point of the sequence of videos I've created is to show you how bad tReyArcH has gotten. And today's video is no different. We all know that Modern Warfare's engine is the best Call of Duty engine ever in a Call of Duty game, period. Given that information, it would be a wise and logical choice to take that engine, improve on it, and use it for the sequel, Black Ops Cold War. But as we all know, that's not what happened. The engine used in Black Ops Cold War is a clear downgrade from the engine used in Modern Warfare. And what's funny about this is that the engine used in Black Ops Cold War is so ancient that tReyArcH was too embarrassed to put a version number in front of it. What I mean by that is that with every software, there is usually a version number in front of it. In the case of Modern Warfare, it uses IW Engine version 8. In the case of Cold War, they just called it Black Ops Cold War Engine. And that's to hide two facts. Fact number one, the engine is too ancient. And fact number two, it is using the engine from Black Ops 3. Yes, Black Ops 3, not Black Ops 4. Even when you look at the new features of Black Ops Cold War's engine, it's embarrassing. Let's have a look at the changes and you be the judge. Change number one, support for next-gen consoles, also known as the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series S, and Xbox Series X. To be honest, even I would be too embarrassed to include that as a new feature. Like, come on. It is not a feature that was added for the sake of innovation. It was just because the game was going to be on next-gen consoles anyway. So in other words, if Black Ops Cold War was not going to be released in a time where there aren't any new next-generation consoles, this feature would not be here. Change number two, hardware-based ray tracing for next-gen consoles. Again, this is very similar to point number one, but it's being paraphrased to make it look as if the new engine added more features than it actually did. I would have included this as a sub point in change number one, but I think that they actually knew that the new engine was too underwhelming, that they had to just make the list look bigger. Change number three, PC ray tracing and DLSS support via NVIDIA RTX graphic cards. So you might be thinking, oh, that sounds cool. Finally, something that is actually worth mentioning. But you realize that it's already listed as a feature for the IW8 engine. So why is this being mentioned here again? Oh yeah, it's because they had nothing to add. So they just took this point and hoped no one would notice. Nice try. Change number four, FOV slider for consoles. This is just one of the laziest things I've ever seen in my entire life. Including this as a new feature, while we all know that it's been there for PC users for years, is just lazy. But again, as I said, the real reason why this was listed as a feature is because the quote-unquote new engine is an absolute downgrade from Modern Warfare's engine. And they basically had nothing to add. So they just added these minor points to make it seem as if there is a change. But we all know it's all talk and no show. Now that we had a look at Cold War's lazy engine, let's have a quick look at what Modern Warfare's engine brought to the table. And because there are too many changes, I'll just go through the first three. Change number one, new lighting engine. If this was the only change that was included in the list, it would still be an upgrade over the four changes that were listed for Cold War's engine. Also, Infinity Ward could have been just lazy and just said improved lighting. But no, they wanted to innovate. They wanted to go the extra mile. So they created a whole new lighting engine. So now it's like a mini engine within an engine. Change number two, improved physics. Again, this is a huge innovation which spawned a whole new genre of videos on YouTube. You know these attention to detail videos that you see on YouTube? A huge part of it is because of these improved physics. Change number three, new sound engine. I think we can all agree that the sounds in Modern Warfare are just so good that it makes you really immerse in the game, which was an obvious upgrade over its predecessors. And again, it's not just improved sound, but instead it's an entire sound system. And by the way, if this was the only change that Modern Warfare bought, it would still be an upgrade over the four changes that Cold War's engine had. You can have a look at the rest of the changes, and of course, I know it's very technical, but the point I wanted to get across is that it is a downgrade over Modern Warfare 2019, and tReyArcH is just a lazy developer now. And just to prove to you that tReyArcH was once a good developer that used to innovate, let's go back to 2007 and 2008. In 2007, Call of Duty 4 was a huge success. So the most logical decision decision at that time for tReyArcH was to take whatever innovations that were made in Call of Duty 4 and build on top of it. So what did tReyArcH do? They took the most logical decision. They took the engine from Call of Duty 4 and improved on it. One of the improvements that tReyArcH added in World at War is the addition of dismemberment. And that is something that is still being used in Modern Warfare 2019. You know all these weapon blueprints that are being sold today that have the dismemberment effect? That is something that was added 13 years ago by tReyArcH and is still being used today. Back then, it was the second Call of Duty game that tReyArcH have ever worked on. So they have very limited experience with working with Call of Duty games. Not to mention that game development was way harder than it is today. They had very limited time, the team was so small, but they were still able to innovate. Unlike the tReyArcH of today, which, as I said a million times, they just don't care anymore.